Hey scrappy friends, it's Ashley and today I've got a layout for you from the Cut Shop. I'm using the new Tangled Triangles cut file and the new Superstar Alpha cut file on this layout. And before I get to the process of putting the layout together, I wanted to show you how I set up my title in Silhouette Studio. So I'm just going to open up the Superstar Alpha cut file, and you can see I have it here in my folder. And I'm using the 8.5 by 11 Tangled Triangles cut file with this. So you'll see how I set that up in just a minute also. And I want to trace it, so I went under Panels and selected Trace and then select Trace Area. And then once that's highlighted, I just click on Trace and then move my original to the side and get rid of that. And then once I have the cut lines, I want to release the compound path. So I go under Object and do Release Compound Path. This is going to separate everything in the cut file. And I want to kind of move it to the side so I can get my title letters over. So I'm going to bring over the letters for the words Rest Stop, which is going to be the title of my layout. And I want to weld the two words together. So I'm slightly overlapping each of the letters in each of the words, just putting those right over one another, just a little bit, not too much. I just wanted it to connect but not overlap too much. And so I'm going to add the word stop, and I just copy and paste my letters from the original cut file. Once I have it released, I can move whatever letters I want to over to use for my title. So I'm just going to get the O and the P overlapped here. And before I weld those together, there's a next step that I have to do before I'm able to put all that together. I have to go back and make each letter a compound path. I released it before, so everything was separate. But to be able to weld, you have to have everything as a compound path. And you can't do the words as a whole. You have to do each individual letter, or it will take out your inside parts. The little weld tool is at the top. You can see me clicking on it. It's a solid circle and square. And so now I have that all welded together as two separate words instead of the individual letters. Now I want to make the part for backing my title with, so I just copied and pasted that. And I'm going to release the compound path again on both of the words. And this is going to cut it for me on a pattern paper so I can back my original piece. And then I can just move those out of the way and erase the inside parts. And I want to do one more step because I'm going to stitch on my layout. So I want to copy and paste this outline here. And then I want to offset it to make it a little bigger. So I'm going to go under Panels and select Offset. And I liked where it was already, so I didn't adjust the settings any. I just left it where it was because I'm going to use my sketch pens to draw this part to stitch around the title. So once I have that, I just move those inside pieces. And then I'm going to show you kind of how I set up in Silhouette Studio to have the sketch pen draw my words. So here is the Tangled Triangles background. Like I said, I use the 8.5 by 11, and I just do that same process for tracing the cut file. And in Silhouette Studio, I moved it to where I wanted it to kind of be on the layout. And then I'm going to copy and paste my offset outline here and bring it onto this page. And I want to rotate it because it's going to be a vertical title. So I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees. And math is not my friend, so I just rotated it 90 degrees 3 times. And once I have that done, I'm going to resize it. You want to make sure you have everything the way that you want it if you're going to draw on your paper. So I want to get it to the size that I want. And you want to make sure that this outline and your cut title are the same size. And then once you have it set, you can send it. You want to make sure under Action that you choose Draw. You can see now that there are Sketch. I'm sorry. You can see that there are different options, Cut, Sketch. So you just check Sketch, and that will draw it out for you with your Silhouette Cameo sketch pens. So now I've got everything cut and I'm ready to get started on the layout. So you can see that I have everything drawn off here for the title, and I used a sketch pen that was similar in color to the thread that I was planning to use. I'm working with the Simple and Sweet collection from Pink Fresh Studio, so I used a embroidery floss thread that coordinated with the collection. It's kind of a peachy orange color, and so I wanted to bring that in just over on the title to have that color there. And I used a white background, a white cardstock background for this layout because I knew I would have the Tangled Triangles background and then the title. So I wanted everything to kind of contrast against that white background. I didn't want to use a pattern paper for this layout. So now I'm going to finish off the rest of the title, and I'm just using my fine liner bottle to add some adhesive to those thin little pieces of the title. And I debated whether or not I wanted to use a solid color cardstock for this outline part of the title, but I decided to go for the white, and that's kind of another reason that I did the stitching, because I kind of wanted to define the title. And if I had not backed it with something, a pattern paper, I probably would have used a different color to make it stand out against the white background. But since I had the flower backing the cut file and the stitching, I didn't mind it so much being layered over a white cardstock, because you can still get that definition and see the title. So once I have all that liquid adhesive, I'm going to go with my tape runner and adhere those down in their spot and just make sure I have them lined up inside that stitching. And I really like the texture that the hand stitching adds to the layout. This was the only stitching I did on this page. I didn't add any machine stitching, so I kind of like that it's a feature on the title for the layout. So once I have that in place, I'm going to work on my background, and I like how all these triangles overlap. I didn't want to back each triangle, I just wanted to back a few. So I'm going through the 6x6 paper pad from the Pink Fresh Studio collection to pull out several papers that I want to use behind there. So I'm just going to flip both pieces over and trace a couple of these. I just kind of go around those extra little triangle pieces just to get an idea of the full triangle that I'm going to be cutting, because I'm going to actually cut out a little larger than what I draw, so that way I have room to add my adhesive and back those triangles. And you could back the full thing if you wanted to. It would look really cool. I just didn't have the patience to do that when I was working on the layout, so I just wanted to have a few pops of the pattern paper from the collection, and so that's why I decided just to do a few of those. And I'll just do this second one for you and then finish the rest of those off camera. But I really like the extra color that adds behind the cut file, and I liked the solid color of this kind of teal pattern paper that I used from the collection for that background. So once I had it in place, I wanted to get my photo, and I printed this photo way larger than what I normally work with. Normally I work with much smaller photos. This was almost 4x6. I left it a little bit smaller so I could have the white margin around the outside edge. And I love this photo. It's from April, and I had taken the kids for a walk around our neighborhood, and we decided to take our dog with us, and exercise is not his forte. He is not a walking dog. He is a stay in the house, sleep on the couch kind of dog. So on our way back from our walk, he kept going. He was on his leash, and he kept going under trees along the sidewalk. He'd just go and like plop down. And so our middle daughter decided that she was going to go hang out with him, since she was the one carrying him on his leash, and she just like laid out in these people's front yard in our neighborhood. We don't even know who these people are. Took off her flip-flops, and they're just hanging out, resting around the neighborhood. So I thought it was such a funny photo, and I just snapped it on my phone and changed it to black and white, and I really like the way that it turned out. And so now I'm just adding some embellishments around the page, some of the epoxy stickers, some of the ephemera pieces, and the enamel dots. I actually received the enamel dots in my design team package, and then I ordered some extras from Pink Fresh Studio because I really like these colors, and I like to just add those around the layout just to have something to fill in some spots and just add extra pops of color. And I love these little chevron-y triangles that are on the chipboard sheet. You can see that I've used all of mine. I wish there was like a whole chipboard sheet full of those because I really love them. So I could use a whole sheet of those. And I wanted to use this chipboard piece, but I didn't want it to be so thick. So I took off part of that extra chipboard on the back and just used my liquid adhesive to adhere that to the layout. And I wanted to check to see if there were any other pieces I wanted, and of course there always are. So I used one more chipboard piece there at the top and just put that in one of the pattern paper triangles, and brought another one of the puffy stickers down to the bottom of the layout to kind of balance that out. I wanted to add my date on that little label, but it didn't really fit, so I decided not to go with that and just put it back in my package to save for later. And I thought I might want to use the butterfly, but decided to go with the flower from the puffy sheet of stickers and added that to the corner. And since I didn't use the label for my date, I just decided to add it there in one of the triangles to finish off the layout. I hope you enjoyed watching the process video for this layout, and you can check out the new cut files that are in the Cut Shoppe Etsy store. I'll leave a link below so you can check that out. Here are all the new cut files that are available. So I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.